Yeah, yeah. Too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she.
Hello. Every episode. I'm probably just never gonna stop that. I'll just say the same thing, and then eventually, when more and more people join, we'll just keep the conversation going. Hello. I'm gonna say it that same way for all the seasons of the show. So, hello and welcome to episode 9 of the BeatHunter Dance Talk Show. My name is Joel Casanova. If we have not met yet, hello, hello. I am a mobile dance educator, and fun fact on the side, I have been explaining that to people. I've had the opportunity to explain that to people several times in the past, like week or two, and it's really cool to see people get it, not in a condescending way, but like in a like people are understanding, like, oh, this is different, and it is okay. Like even just logistically, my business model is so drastically different from a studio. So BeatHunter Dance is not a studio, never will be a studio. I'm a mobile dance educator. I go to you, you come to me, whatever happens, and we are learning about dance and what you want to do with dance, which is why I made this community. The community, the whole point of the community is basically for people to come together who love dance, right? Not for any specific reason, but because they're in an area of their life, they're in a time of their life where they want to integrate light dance into their lives and not conform their lives to what dance has been made out to be, right? Dance is for you. No matter who you are, no matter what age you are, no matter what you're doing with it, it's for you. So that's what this community is specifically about, and getting people to get quality training in it for whatever they want to use it for. So this month's monthly theme: inspiration from others. We had an awesome conversation last week. I talked with Sam and Catherine. Sam is from Kenya. Catherine is from Westover Ballet. She owns Westover Ballet, and the location she's at is Christiansburg, Blacksburg area, like west side of Virginia. And I'm in Hampton Roads. So hey, the power of technology. So very first, the one before that, very first episode, I introduced to you what inspiration from others looked like, and that it was a 3-step process, right? That 3-step process takes something, takes something and creates something out of something new, right? So it's like absorb, something happens, something new, right? So step 1, seeing something, inspiration from others, right? So literally the facts. I saw someone, they showed me something, they did something, they danced, they created, they spoke, they exemplified something, right? And you got inspired just by the facts. And that fact created some kind of feelings inside of you, right? And those feelings are so new, completely new, utterly unique to you, right? Why? Because you're filtering everything through the filter of yourself, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, your age, your belief systems, like everything is being filtered through you. Not only that, but there's also the chronological you, right? So it's like where you are, like 2015, September 4th at 3:00. Okay. That was a super random time I just grabbed, right? That time frame, you were a certain kind of way. 2016, September 4th at 3:00, you're a completely different person, right? So if you see the same exact thing, you might get some completely different feelings. From those feelings, specifically, you like retreat into yourself. You see those feelings, you take those feelings, and you create something new out of feelings that will never be created before, right? The thing will never be created for because it's coming from a source, the feelings, that will never be created before. And then the 4th step of the 3-step process is that you repeat, right? You see something else, or someone sees you and what you created from someone else's inspiration. It's like dance's way of being perpetual, right? It's dance's way of recreating itself. almost every moment through every person, right? Because it's not just one thing that you're not just going to get inspired one time and be like, I'm done. I'm never going to get inspired again. It's like you are constantly changing. So your feelings will constantly change. So your things will constantly change, which means you'll get more and more inspiration from others, right? You can get inspiration like epiphanies, by yourself in a vacuum, but we're specifically talking about how dance recreates itself through inspiration from others. So that is what this whole theme is about. So I think it's really important today to talk about a common pitfall that we're all susceptible to, but especially in the dance world, because this is a dance community. And that is confusing, mixing up, or replacing, depending on the situation, basically mixing these two things together, and that's inspiration and imitation. Okay, inspiration, imitation. Inspiration, I just explained what it was, right? You have that 3-step process. You see something, you feel something, out of those feelings, you create something, repeat. Imitation is very, I want to say different, but it's really not that different. It's very similar, which is why it's a common pitfall. Okay, so I love definitions. I'm constantly looking at definitions of words. So when I based the first episode on what imitation from others is, based off of the definition that I found on Google of inspiration, and that is, the mental stimulus that you get from seeing something else to inspire you to do something creative, whatever. Paraphrasing, but imitation is modeling something after the fashion of something else, or simulating something, or copying something, right? So this is what you need to understand. The only way to imitate something is to have someone else to imitate. So that's where the two are very, very similar, right? You need to get it from others. The difference is, I believe, imitation is more when the person is more focused on the outward result as opposed to the inward change. So when you're inspired, you see something from someone else, you have a feeling that changes you. Something inside of you changed, even if it's just a heightened motivation to do something, right? Something has to change in order for you to get those feelings, the filter, the whole thing, and then you create something. Imitation sees something, it's very similar, and then the outward product is what you see afterwards, but you've completely skipped the inward change, right? You might have an emotional feeling, but it's not a changing of your feelings. And so what happens is you are then going straight from the facts of that person into replicating. And so what you start creating is what you were, it's like this, there's no third stop, right? Like step 1, get the ingredients. Step 2, mix the ingredients. Step 3, put it into the oven to make a cake. You skip 2. So it's like you have the ingredients, you put all the ingredients unmixed into the oven, right? And so it's like, what's going on? Something happened. And so the idea is that you end up replicating or simulating what it looks like to be that person inside of your body. And so it'll always be off. It'll always be different. So some people are like, oh man, I see that you have inspiration or influence from this artist. And that's okay if you're influenced by certain people, but you need to change it for yourself, right? Imitation is like, I'm trying to put insert dancer here and see what they would look like in my body. And no one says that. No one says those words, right? No one intends to do these things, but these things happen. So for example, for me, when I grew up, I was taking anything and everything, right? It was like 2007. YouTube was created in 2005. It was 2 years old. Viral videos were barely a thing, right? And so you're like, I have all these dancers at my fingertips, right? Come to me, right? I need to know what this dancing is. I need to get more of it, right? And so I ended up absorbing so much, but I did not have the maturity to reflect it into myself and then make it come out as something new. So I ended up being Ian Eastwood, Brian Puspos, Tie Dyes, Philip Chabib, Keone Amari, Mad Chad, all these people that I grew up watching, and I was like, ah, explosion, Lead Twins. Oh my gosh, this is like before everyone knew about them, right? And I was like, my mind is exploding, right? And so it was good for me then, but I ended up becoming that thing, right? Those people, those, because I was grabbing it and immediately thinking more about dancing than it's changing me to then dancing, which is a very important note because inspiration takes a certain level of maturity, both in the person and in their dancing. So, we've all heard kids or even people older than kids say stuff like, "Oh man, I want to be just like them. Like I want to be just like these guys. Like I would love, like let me be you, please." And so it's like that's not necessarily bad because a lot of dancers get inspiration from other people that way. That's how a lot of dancers are launched into their dance journey, regardless of their age, but 9 times out of 10 when they're younger. Um, so here is the difference. As you're a dancer, hopefully your creativity, your dancing, your journey, your reason for dancing, your purpose, your friends, your community evolves, right? You shouldn't be the same dancer you were at 8 that you were at 18 or 28 or 38 or 48 or 58 or 68 or 78 or 88 or 98, okay? You can dance at all those ages. That's a live stream for another, that's a live stream for a whole other time, okay? But you should be changing. You should be growing. Like the very, very first live stream before we even got to the episodes, I was like, dance changes with you. You should be changing. You should be maturing. And so that maturity comes along with you, and you start realizing two specific things. Okay. One, you can stand on your own. Two, you have something to offer that is of value to the world. Okay. Kids are being constantly propped up by these like buttresses, these walls, these support systems, right? Friends, family, dance teachers, YouTube videos, all of the things, right? They're getting supported because they can't really hold themselves up. They're still learning to stand, they're still learning to walk, and they're walking towards the end goal that they don't know, but eventually they will, right? Their dance identity, who they are, and what they do with dance. As you grow older, eventually those buttresses, those support systems, those walls, if you don't know what buttresses are, Google it. Okay, just go into your phone. Buttresses. Flying buttresses are beautiful. Roman cathedrals and churches and, anyways, architecture, right? So you, where was I going with that? Oh, those support systems eventually fall off. Not that they leave, that you're isolated, but you can hold and stand your own. You can hold your own and stand by yourself, and you are your own person. And sometimes that's where transitions come in, where it's like, okay, I need to eventually just do this for myself by myself. Second, you have something of value to offer the world that is of value even before you can support yourself because it's your identity in dance. Will it grow? Will it mature? Hopefully, yes. But you have something of value to offer, right? And so that happens the most when you're standing by yourself because you're now by yourself, you're standing in your dance identity, and you're like, I have something to say. I have something to offer. I am part of this community. I'm speaking into this community, even if it's without words, supporting people, taking classes, teaching classes, literally talking to people and having conversation, pushing the community in a specific way, right? The global community also, as well as your local communities. So the maturity is super necessary. And it's not to say you should be mature more, right? It's to say, understand that this is hard. Okay. You are constantly looking at other people. I was constantly looking at other people. Other people are constantly looking at other people. Dance is a form of art that needs to be looked at. But are you absorbing it for inspiration? Are you letting it change you to then create something new? Or are you immediately thinking of the outward product? Are you just letting it be like a surface level emotional hype to then do something physical? The change needs to happen. Allow yourself to change even if you need to think about something. There needs to be a change. And that happens easier and easier as you mature as a dancer and as a person. And so positive, negative, right? Let's go with the negative first, get it out of the way. You are withholding yourself from people. When you are imitating someone, you are simulating what that person looks like in your own body, right? This is what Ian Eastwood is. Yeah, you're basically being Eastwood. You're basically being Keone Mari. You're basically being Sean. You're basically being John. You're basically being Sally. You're basically being Kiana, right? Who are you, right? If I wanted to watch that person, I would watch someone else, right? That happened to me. I was in front of a scout, and they're like, "I love what you can do when you have someone else's choreography. But when you're dancing, you're by yourself. You are just being these people that I already manage." He's a manager in like California, and he was like, "I don't need another one of them. I need you." And so that goes not just for me, that goes for all of us. It's like you're withholding who you are and who you can inspire. You're withholding the inspiration from other people because by you being yourself is when you inspire people, not when you're simulating, not when you're simulating someone else, because then they can just watch that other person and see the real version of them. Positive. When you mature as a dancer, you are finding who you are and inspiring other people in more and more ways, right? At first, it's like you have this creative way of just flowing from one move to the next to the next. And then someone's like, whoa, that was cool. And then you inspire them. And then you start taking other styles and you start blending together. And then your seamlessness not just goes from moves, it goes from style to style to style, right? And someone's like, whoa. And you inspire them in that different way. And then you say, okay, let's strain out these specific styles and say X, Y, Z for these specific reasons. I'm going to use this style, and this style to tell a story. And that style matches where we are in the story. And someone's like, whoa, right? And you inspire them in that way. And this could be 3 different people, it could be the same person. It doesn't matter. The more you mature as a dancer, the more you need less people to hold you up, the more you are inspired and you're inspiring and being inspired, right? Because you have something of value to say and you're showing them that that is possible. You have something to say and they're like, I do have something. I do have something to say. And you're like, you're darn right you do. What is it? And they're like, X. And you're like, whoa. And then you get inspired, right? And then you're falling back into the ebb and flow of inspiration in the dance world. And it's how, like I said, it's how dance keeps itself, all these S's, it's how dance keeps itself refreshed. It's how it grows. It's a perpetual motion machine because people can't help but change. You can make it in a good way, you can make it in a bad way, but the good way is what everyone wants and what you want, even if you never said it, even if you never thought it. That feeling that you get when you're like, yes, and you want to do something, that is how dance was meant to be. And so, the hierarchy, like I said before, just totally fizzles, right? Because you're seeing something and you might be at the top. Really, everyone's on the same line in different lanes. They're on different journeys. And you look over at someone else's lane and you get new feelings. And then dance keeps going and rolling over to the next generation. So really, really take the challenge of changing when you see someone do something cool or awesome or inspiring, and change yourself or allow the change to happen, because out of those feelings, out of that bubble, you see this growth and you see this change and you see this new creation. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. It's awesome. So this is the second to last episode of this season. Hey, right? So we are going to have one more next week. And then I'm going to start broadcasting and reposting all of these things everywhere. So you can share with your friends, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your family's friends, tell your friend's family, tell your dog, tell your dog's family's friends, owners, walkers, right? So tell everybody. I'm going to just be broadcasting it to get people understanding what these messages are, because it's a dialogue that needs to happen to strengthen the dance world. I'm super excited. And also in summer, I'm going to be traveling a lot. So hopefully I'll be making some vlogs. So check out my YouTube channel for that. I'm going to, my birthday's in May. Hey, going out of town for that. In June, I'm going to Dallas. In July, I have a month-long musical theater summer camp that I'm teaching, and then I'll have a performance. What else? End of June, hopefully, I'll be going to a contra dance workshop. If you guys don't know what contra dance is, it's like super awesome. So a whole 4 days of it would be super cool. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. August, other things are happening. There's a lot. There's a lot. So I'm going to be focusing more on posting and broadcasting, but I'll still be keeping the dialogue happening in the community. So keep out for that. Also, I don't know if I should say this sooner or later, but look out for a new type of show that I will be creating. Spoilers. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So thank you so much. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and throw up some stuff in the chat or the comment section or whatever, and we'll start some conversations. Like, give me a time that you were inspired by someone, or a time where you were imitating someone, or how you want to change now in order to get inspiration from people instead of imitating them. So many different ways, so many different things that could be talked about. So next week, last episode. Have a great night.